If Kamala Harris were to lose an election, assuming it's the 2024 U.S. presidential election or a later attempt to seek higher office, there could be several layers of political, social, and personal impacts for her, the Democratic Party, and the broader political landscape. 1. Immediate political impact on Harris. Personal career impact. Losing a presidential or major election can be a significant setback, often leaving the individual with limited influence in the immediate future. For Harris, this might mean shifting her focus to legislative work, advocacy, or other forms of public service, although she would retain some influence given her prior high-profile roles. Political capital. As the current vice president, a loss could somewhat reduce her standing within the Democratic Party. Some might argue that she could face an uphill battle to maintain a national profile if she doesn't return to office in a prominent role. 2. Impact on the Democratic Party. Strategic reassessment. If Harris were a high-profile candidate and lost, the Democratic Party would likely assess its strategies, especially concerning candidate selection, policy priorities, and outreach. The party might reconsider its focus on moderate versus progressive issues, particularly if the election results indicate that a more progressive stance is needed to energize younger voters. Party unity in leadership dynamics. Given Harris's unique role as a female, Black, and South Asian leader, her potential loss could spark discussions around the party's representation, messaging, and outreach, especially in diverse communities. It could lead to calls for new leadership, adjustments in party values, or even new voices rising to fill the gap she might leave. 3. Broader political and social reactions. Public reactions and representation. Harris has been a symbolic figure for women and people of color. A loss could lead to feelings of disappointment in some communities but could also galvanize her supporters and encourage future leaders to step up, seeing her journey as an inspiration rather than a setback. Impact on representation. Given her historic achievements, the question of who can or should replace Harris as a representative of diverse communities could become significant. Some might advocate for new leaders who represent a similar vision, while others may encourage the party to diversify its support base. 4. Future pathways for Harris. New roles. If Harris lost but chose to stay active in politics, she might return to work in a more specialized policy area, or as a prominent figure on issues she is passionate about. She could also consider pathways in academia, global diplomacy, or advocacy groups. Potential rebound in politics. Many figures in U.S. politics have bounced back from losses and returned to even higher positions. Harris could use a potential loss as a learning experience to reshape her image, possibly making another attempt for the presidency in the future with greater insight and experience. 5. Long-term implications on U.S. politics. Influence on voter dynamics. A loss by someone as high-profile as Harris could shape how the U.S. public views future women and minority candidates. It might inspire stronger support for candidates who break new ground in representation or lead to further polarization, depending on how the loss is perceived by the public. Implications for future elections. If Harris's campaign highlighted certain issues or policies, those could remain on the agenda. Her loss could prompt more vigorous debate over these issues, influencing future candidates and shaping policy discussions for years to come. Overall, if Kamala Harris lost, it would affect not only her career but also the narrative of representation, diversity, and future direction in U.S. politics. It would create a moment for reflection within the Democratic Party, potentially influencing its approach to voter outreach, candidate selection, and issue prioritization.